from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Wednesday, July 6, 2022. And holy cow, I started the week complaining because it's a holiday week, 4th of July on a Monday. Do you know how hard it is to get guests to come in on a short week? Hey, JD, I'll catch up with you next week. Hey, I'll see you in Vegas on Saturday. We'll have a beer, mate. And I heard blah, 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 blah all week, but we're getting hot and heavy. We have the awesome Aussie today, talking some PGA, talking some Scottish Open a week before the major and the British Open. And we got our co-host, of course, today for the closing bell, the one and only Riley Magnuson from Chicago. So let me be that star producer that I am and try to bring them both up at the same time. And there we go. We did it.
I love to
What's
see
up,
it.
Mets?
How are we, boys? Happy Wednesday. I mean, every day feels the exact same. That July 4th on Monday, JD Riley, that has completely thrown me out of whack. But hey, another week full of great opportunity in the sports betting, especially for the golf, the PGA Tour. I mean, we're coming off a bit of a dud event last week, the John Deere Classic, but this week, the strongest field to date we've ever had for a DP World Tour event. It's a co-sanctioned event with the PGA Tour. We got 75 of their best, 75 of our best. And now a couple of live golfers allowed to play in it as well. Can you imagine in the locker room over at the Scottish Open this week, JT? Tensions would be high.
First, the postman delivers on Sunday. I can bring some clips back. You're on a damn heater here, kid.
Yeah, just here. I'll lean across the virtual screen. Go and brush that shoulder off, son. 42-1. I said, yeah. Who said the postman doesn't deliver on Sunday? He delivered with extra care, going wire to wire. Good to see from the young fella as well. That's what I like about some of these weaker fields. I think it's great opportunity for the young guys to chalk up a couple of wins. JT Poston's second career win. And not only do we have the Scottish Open going on this week, we've got the Barbasol going on here in Lexington, Kentucky. And again, if you thought the John Deere was a weaker field, wait till you see this one in action tomorrow. But hey, if we can bet on it, we can win money from it, I'm absolutely going to watch it. So I'm going to be getting up. Mate, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to bed this week, boys. I'm going to be watching the Scottish Open from midnight to probably 7 a.m. straight into the Barbasol. Cash and tickets. That's what it's all about. What a time to be alive.
All right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time. This is your stage. This is your fairway, your greens. You stay out of the bunkers. You stay out of the woods. Do you want to give us a hint maybe on the Barbasol? Maybe a couple sleepers, maybe a first-round leader, some value tickets. The stage is yours. No one's hotter on the planet than you. Don't let them fool you.
Mate, modesty's not my strong suit, and I'm never going to let the truth get in the way of a good time, especially with my East Coast brothers. Let's talk about the Barbasol Championship here. Keen Trace Golf Club, 7,300 yards, past 72. I'm looking for some of the young guys who have been knocking on the door. Who's ready to get that breakthrough win? Guys who stand out to me. Adam Svensson, the Canadian, 21-1. Taylor Pendrith, Canadian Bacon, if you will, at 21-1. He's back from injury. And then a guy who popped up last week on the John Deere leaderboard, Michael Glitchick at 45-1. Don't be afraid of value this week. All these guys are scared of getting it done on a Sunday afternoon. So it's really going to be a war of attrition. Who's going to be there? Who's going to make the big putt? Step up when you have to get it done. It's going to be another super low birdie shootout, 22, 23 under par. If you're looking for a couple of top finishing positions, look at Kramer Hickok for a top 40. You can get him a plus 100, plus money. I said, yeah, we like that. And then Satoshi Kodaira, I've got him for a top 40, a plus 145. He's won on the PGA Tour, and I still love to have a flutter on this guy for a round one low score. You can probably get him at around 80-1 there for a round one low score. He posts a 61, followed by an 81, super high ceiling, super erratic, but I don't mind that this week for the Barbasol. Satoshi Kodaira from Japan.
I'm one of these believers. Now, you're making me not one of these believers. I kind of, a week before and a week after a major, kind of, real light, I'll take a peek in, maybe sprinkle a little into the infield. with the field at the Scottish Open, I mean, it looks like a major. I mean, is the thought process these guys are getting tuned up for the major, or the guy that has the bad round on Thursday, does he just mail it in and get the hell over and get ready for next week?
Well, look, we're not going far from, this week's Scottish Open down the old course at St Andrews. The big concern I have is for a lot of the American guys who haven't played a lot of links golf. They're trying to get the reps in, fill out the golf course, because it's a totally different beast, especially for the young guys who have come through, the NCAA. They go on the Corn Ferry Tour, then onto the PGA Tour, because they're so used to playing the bomb and gouge game, where over there you need a bunch of different shots around the greens. You need imagination. In some cases, even you'll see this week at the Renaissance Club, you're trying to land it, 20 or 30 yards short. You're trying to flight it a lot lower. And the guys coming from the PGA Tour, I think they're still going to be tinkering with their club setups. Maybe you drop the old 5-wood this week so you can put the 2-iron in the bag, maybe throw in a couple of different wedges. So I think the guys who have the edge are definitely the guys with a bit of links experience, even some of the guys who play both tours, guys like a Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, they're going to be a little bit more comfortable this week being over there in Europe. It's not in England, but look, it is a home game for most of these guys, and I think the motivation's going to be there for them. And I'm looking at a lot of guys who are searching for that breakthrough win. Now, it is a co-sanctioned event, so it's like winning on the PGA Tour. A guy at the top of the list this week, Will Zalatoris. I mean, absolute ball striking. I think being the week before a major, we got the different tours, all the live stuff going on, a lot of big names in this field, as you touched on, JD. I think that's a welcomed distraction for a guy like Willie Z. Not everyone's looking at him to get the job done. He's had 2 runner-ups at the majors. When it gets windy, when it gets tough, you need ball striking. Out of all the young Americans, Will Zalatoris. The breakthrough is coming, boys. It is only a matter of time. So with a bit of a wacky week like this one, I don't mind it.
I saw something on Twitter yesterday from our buddy Rick Gaiman, and correct me if I'm wrong, or Hovland's clubs were lost or stuck in Frankfurt, someone said. Did he get his clubs yet?
He still hasn't got him as of today. He hasn't got his luggage. And he had this issue at the start of the season in Hawaii. He ended up borrowing the caddies clubs, for practice rounds and whatnot. And he didn't play good golf in that one. So for this one, it's not a good lead up for Vic. It's not a good golf course for Vic. I'm big on short game both this week and next week at the Open Championship. Trying to pick it up from a tight lie, I still have concerns if Vic can do that. I think it helps him when he's coming from the thick rough, which we see a bit more out here on the PGA Tour. So you throw in that he's missing his clubs, travel arrangements are up in the air. Obviously the ping bus is going to be on the grounds this week. They'll get him a very close set to what he's used to playing with if the clubs don't show up in time. But that's not a good preparation for Hovland. I don't like the golf course for him, and I do have concerns going into next week as well. I love his golf game, but, horses for courses, boys.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in real quick, Jeff. Dubs, you mentioned Tommy Fleetwood a second ago, a guy that I'm really interested in this week. I think lost in a playoff a couple years ago, top 30 last year, if I'm not mistaken, playing a little bit better than he has been over the last couple of years. If you had to pick, do you have higher optimism for him this weekend or at St. Andrews for the Open Championship? If you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
Oh, mate, that is a very good question. I've got a ticket on him this week, but I'm big on Tommy Fleetwood. At the majors, he finds his best stuff. So if you had to choose between the two, go for next week, Tommy Fleetwood. I love his golf game. He's been a little quiet the last sort of 18 months, but I think he may have found something of late. I think he's very comfortable playing links golf. And I think for guys like him and Tyrrell Hatton, they come out here playing on the PGA Tour. Tommy Fleetwood's never had a win. Tyrrell Hatton's only had one win there at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I just don't think the golf suits them. I don't think the golf courses suit them. Their biggest strength is shot making, is short game. And here in the States, not to bag on the way we play, but it's who can hit it the furthest, who's the best with a 60 degree. And at the end of the day, it's a putting contest to get it to 21 under par. I think the links golf, we see winning marks of, 13, 14 under par. You need a bit of golf IQ, a bit of, shot making, a bit of grit. I think it suits these guys, especially for Tommy Fleetwood. And he's not afraid to step up at the major championships. I can think of 2 or 3 off the bat where he was very close to getting it done on a Sunday, and I think he's far too good not to get a major, not to get a win on the PGA Tour. So I think he has a good week this week, and if I had to choose, I think he has an even better week next week at the Open Championship. A good guy, Tommy Fleetwood. Great set of letters as well, boys. I'd love to have the business up top, the party out the back,
Yeah.
the mullet
Yeah.
like Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Smith.
Speaking of DraftKings, horses for courses, and of course, the co-leader, Riley's Binky, Mr. Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm at 12-1, JT at 14-1, Mr. Fitzpatrick maybe still hungover from the Open at 16-1, Xander at 18-1, and your Aussie Cam Smith at 22-1. A little steep on the prices there. Any one of those guys, if you had to choose one and dive at the top of the leaderboard, that you'd be diving into for this week?
Look, the books still show a lot of respect for John Rahm, but I feel like the betting public are not really giving him enough respect of what's due. I think he'll be a problem next week. I'm not big on him this week. Scotty Scheffler, I'm fading. He's got the really high ball flight. I don't think he has a great run. You can still find him at plus 330 to miss the cut there. It's a sneaky play as good as he's been playing. I just don't think this course is going to match up well for Scotty Scheffler. Justin Thomas, great record here. 2 starts, 2 top 10s. He's playing motivated. Him and Roy McIlroy, the spokespeople, if you will, for the PGA Tour. So they've got that extra motivation. But again, for guys like that, if they get off to a slow start Thursday, something you touched on, JD, I think maybe they just start using it as a couple of practice rounds and they start looking ahead to the Open Championship. Cameron Smith is one that interests me. Now, obviously, he's an Aussie. He's grown up playing the Sandbelt golf courses, very similar to the links style. And I do think that when you give him an easy golf course, he loses that, attention to detail. But if you give him a very tough course, like we saw at the Players' Championship, where you need a great short game, you need to move the ball both ways, have a bit of versatility, that's when he gets up for it. At 28-1, Cameron Smith, the Aussie, I love it. Short game's big this week, boys. There's so much undulation around the greens here at the Renaissance Club.
I'm going to throw a name at you. I have a one-and-done contest out of like 4,200. I'm sitting at around 1,250. Haven't used a lot of the big names, save them for the majors. I had Hovland, and obviously now I'm going to pull Hovland out because of the issues with his clubs. The next name closest to him, Joaquin Niemann.
Hey, you want a low ball flight? It's as low as it gets for the young Chilean. Look, I think Niemann's biggest strength is off the tee. I'm not, you don't really need to be long this week. You can sort of give it a spray. So that's probably going to help Niemann when he is a little all over the ballpark. I don't mind that pick, JD. The young Chilean superstar, he's taken his game to a new level this year. We saw it at Riviera. He's backed it up since then. I like his game. I love him and Mito Pereira. Again, links golf, low ball, Joaquin Niemann. He ticks the boxes for me.
How about a couple matchups you might have that you've leaned to this week? Maybe you gave us some top 40s. Anything else maybe for the novice that wants to maybe create a little bankroll before the Open next week?
Yeah, and look, there's so many good options in the golf betting right now. For me, it is the pinnacle across all sports betting, if you will. I'm looking at a couple of heads-up matchups here I'll throw out. I like Justin Thomas over Scotty Scheffler at plus money, plus 105. I like Mito Pereira over Keith Mitchell, also at plus 105, because, Mito Pereira, don't forget, this is still his first season on the PGA Tour. People say, well, he didn't get it done at the PGA Championship. I look at all the positives, all the top fives he's had to date, and the fact that he keeps putting himself in the discussion late on Sunday at the biggest events. So I think a guy like Mito Pereira over a guy like Keith Mitchell, who, what's he got in the bag? Sure, he's got a bit of distance. He's a good driver of the ball, but the closer he gets to the greens, the worse he gets. And this week, that is going to be tested. So I like Mito Pereira over Keithy Mitchell, JT over Scheffler, and Lucas Herbert, another Aussie who's played a lot on the DP World Tour before this year, making the move to stateside. You can find him at plus 105 over Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith has been having a good year on the DP World Tour. But again, I think some of these guys who don't have the biggest profiles, it's going to be a bit of a shock this week when all these superstars are coming from America, from the PGA Tour. You're now on the practice fairway next to, JT, Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Justin Thomas. And you're going to be saying, well, last week I was warming up next to Ryan Fox with about 20 spectators. Now we're playing for this kind of wedge with these boys. Different gravy, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. I hope we're willing and praying that we'll get you on for the Open next week. I'll be live from Vegas. I'll make sure we got some good Bellagio scenes for you in front of the fountains for that one. But leading in, Tiger has arrived. He had the hat on backwards. 80-1. I know he's a fan favorite, and probably the true odds are probably 150, 175 to 1. This is his course. I mean, I know, little beer and pizza money, maybe top 20, top 40. Give us your thoughts before we talk next week about Tiger leading into next week.
Yeah, so look, Tiger Woods played in the JP McManus Pro-Am over there in Ireland Monday, Tuesday, and I wasn't impressed with what I saw. I mean, he was walking around very sheepishly, if you will. He was using the golf cart to get around, so that tells me he's already trying to conserve energy. There wasn't a lot of wind out there, but the distance control was off. So for me, it's back to the drawing board for Tiger. He's going to go to some hideout for the next week before he gets to St. Andrews to work on that game, get used to playing links golf again. I absolutely think he's got the golf IQ. He's got the experience at St. Andrews. He tells us it's his favorite golf course. He's won there twice before. And what do we know about St. Andrews? Very short golf course. It's flat. So I think everything points towards Tiger Woods at least being able to make it through the weekend. In the outright market, can he win on Sunday? I don't think so, JD. I think these young guys have taken the standard to such a high level now. I mean, when you've got guys like Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Cantlay, who we haven't even spoken about, when they're on, I just question, can Tiger really keep the pedal to the metal like that? His best chance is going to be if it plays super tough. We need the wind. And look, St. Andrews, not a tough golf course if the weather's not a factor.
Give me your closing thoughts before I have to ask you a question about the Live Tour, of course, but that will be the last one. Going into next week, Rory.
I mean, I'd say he'd probably be one of the hottest golfers in the last 12 months. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. You could question a couple others there, but he's playing hungry. He's playing motivated. He's back to playing golf and not golf swing, JD. I can see it when I watch him. He's playing what's in front of him. The biggest improver for Rory McIlroy has been the short game around the greens, and that's what made Rory so good. I mean, his last major win, back in 2014, but Rory coming up, he was the next Tiger Woods. And what made him so great, he had that imagination, the shot making, and now we're starting to see that again. And he's got so much confidence both on the course, off the course. Every time he talks right now, you've got to listen to Rory McIlroy. I mean, very poignant with every statement he's made between the PGA Tour and the Live Tour. And he's really taken it upon himself to say, hey, if these guys want to jump ship, we're still going to keep the best of the best in the world here on the PGA Tour, and I'm going to show them every time they want to come and take us on at the major championships, maybe this week at the Scottish Open, we're going to remind them what they're leaving. They can go and play exhibition golf for who knows how much money they want to get paid just for showing up, but if you want to be the best golfer, play for legacy, play for a bit of prestige, and put your name on a trophy that actually means something, you've got to beat me. So Rory McIlroy, I love what I'm seeing, and again, the golf suits him. He's got the experience. He's got the grind. And for me, that's the biggest difference we've seen the last few months, the short game. He's now erased the weak double bogeys, the triple bogeys that he used to make from nowhere. The ceiling has remained very high for Rory McIlroy the last couple of years, but it's the weak, doubles that just takes him out of a tournament or moves him down on the leaderboard. He's now making those bogeys. He's making those really tough pars. That's the difference. Rory McIlroy, motivated, playing golf again. You love to see it, and it would scare me seeing him on this leaderboard moving into the weekend next week at the Open Championship.
Last but not least, give us your thoughts on the Live Tour. More guys jumping over. Like you said, it's funny. Those big names that have gotten the big checks, the golf that they're shooting out there is comical. And Justin Thomas this week came out, God bless him. He just says, guys, just give us the real reason why you're over there. It's for the money. That's all. You're over there for the money, not the prestige, not the honor that you're talking about.
Yeah, and look, boys, how long have we got for the show? I mean, I could sit here and go on for hours about the Live golf. For me, look, it's not going away. It is now here to stay. Rory McIlroy actually come out today saying, look, it might be about time the PGA Tour sits down with Greg Norman and tries to map out a future where we can both coexist. But I mean, it is what we've already called it out. It is exhibition golf. What does the future look like? Well, these guys need to get world ranking points. Otherwise, they can't keep showing up to major championships. If you're not holding on to that world ranking, it's not like you're just going to get invited to compete at the majors. How do you get world ranking points? Well, you need to have 72 holes of stroke play. They don't have that. They've only got a 48-man field. They don't tick the box for that. So the outlook is still a bit of an unknown. What do we see up there in Portland? I mean, the thing is an absolute circus. It's very similar to what we saw in Vegas when the quarterbacks are playing each other for $50 out there at the Wynn, right? It's no different to that. Taylor Gooch coming out on Saturday after he wins the team's event saying, this has got to be right up there with the Ryder Cup, a President's Cup. Taylor Gooch, you've never played in a Ryder Cup. You've never been in a Ryder Cup. You're trying to tell me that 50 people up in Portland watching you play in the team's exhibition event for the Live Golf Series is better than a Ryder Cup? Please. And maybe that's a sign of the guys who have jumped shit. They're delusional. They don't know what they're working with. They go, okay, I've got the bag. And I totally get it. I mean, I would say 95% of the active golfers would absolutely entertain it if they had the offer. Guys like it, Pat Perez, who have been out on the tour for 20 years, who've only got a couple of years left. I mean, what's he pick up? $750K on Saturday? These guys aren't good enough to still mix it with the young guns on the PGA Tour. And that's the common theme of all the guys who have made the jump. There's not a lot of wins between them over the last 12 months. They're out of form. They want to play less golf. They're scared about, can they win again here, on the PGA Tour? So let's take the bag. Let's sell out. But Live Golf, it's not going away. They're going to pump $1 billion into it without making a cent this year. What would I like to see happen? Well, if they're not going to go away, let's stay true to what Greg Norman promised from the get-go. We're going to be an international tour to grow the game. Okay, awesome. The PGA Tour, we're going to give you our off weeks moving forward, 2024 moving forward. You take your tour to the UK. You take it to South Africa. You take it to Australia. And then all that money they're pumping into it, yes, they're growing the game of golf. They're bringing new eyeballs. They're bringing some younger guys into it who are seeing the likes of a DeChambeau, a Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, although they're past their prime. Okay, we're getting a few more international eyeballs. Maybe that's a positive that can come from. But for the PGA Tour, it's only been a blessing. Competition is always a good thing. I'm a bit, let's just say frustrated with how the tour has responded the last couple of months. I know they've got the money. They make gazillions from the broadcast still. And then their best way to counter Live Golf was saying, we're going to copy them. We're just going to do exactly what these guys are doing. We're going to now take the pathway from the DP World Tour to the PGA Tour. That's great. So we're still getting the best young guys coming into the game. We're getting the best from Europe. But what happens to the poor little DP World Tour? That now starts sinking. What happens to some of the other tours around the world that now the guys that are all channeling here in America? It weakens the whole product. So I think for the guys, playing the sport professionally, it's great. It opens up a few more pathways for the younger, battling tour pros. But for the fans, not good enough. It waters down the product, boys. It's still golf. It's still a niche sport, right? We can't have enough players going around for 3 different tours. What do we got this week? The Barbasol, the Scottish Open. No, thank you. I mean, who's going to watch the Barbasol? Yes, we are. We're degenerates. We're going to bet on the golf betting because that's what we do. But for the average sports fan, they're going to tune in and say, who are some of these guys? What are these names? So I'd much rather see it one tour, best of the best in the world, the Live Golf. You want to do your thing? Okay, you can do it on the off weeks where we're not conflicting with the PGA Tour. We can both coexist, but we can't run side by side, if that makes sense, boys.
The one, the only Mr. Dubs Anderson. The crawler's been working here a lot. We can follow you at Mr. Dubsy, at Sports Grid TV, at Sports Grid, at Boston versus the Book, at Props US, at Talking Golf to Me. Dubsy, we can't thank you enough. We'll give you a full week to gather up some more steam and energy, and we'll catch you back next week for the Open. How's that sound?
It sounds delightful, boys. It sounds scrumptious. I'm always bringing the heat for the East Coast brothers. Dubsy out here on the West Coast. The best coast? Maybe not. Maybe question marks. Maybe Dubsy's got to come hit the East Coast. But we are hidden winners, boys, in the golf betting. Scottish Open teeing off tonight. The Barbasol teeing off tomorrow. Go and get those tickets in. We're going from the 3P back to back to back for the East Coast brothers. I cannot wait for the Open Championship next week, boys. We're absolutely going to chop it up and back more winners. Let's go.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Dubsy. Have a great day, a better week, and we will talk soon.
See you, boys.
Wow.
Fantastic stuff as always.
As always, the one and only Dubs Anderson. And God, he talks it so right. I mean, he's right on top of the game. He knows what the hell's going on, and he's spot on. And I'm glad JT stuck to his guns, said what he said. And, Rory's been open the whole time about it. And, listen, we grew up with golf, and I grew up sitting on Sundays with my father watching Jack Nicklaus to Tiger Woods to now, as he said, the new young up and coming guns. And some people poo-poo the PGA because of the competition and how it's run. But, I know there's not the elite back in the day, Tiger versus Phil on Sunday, but every week's a different week with the caliber of these young guns right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the MO of it. I mean, we ended up having the 1 week where Cantlay was terrible. We got two best friends who are top 10 in the world a stroke away from each other the other week on I think it was Travelers. If I'm wrong on that one, forgive me. But nonetheless, you got, for the most part, at least a couple of studs just going at it neck and neck by the time we get to Sunday afternoon. So, and the only guy we didn't mention that was, if you didn't hear what he said about it, Billy Horschel had some, pretty strong and confident words this week about, kind of these guys being hypocrites to some degree and calling out and basically kind of saying what JT said in a different way as far as, just tell us why you're actually going out there. Stop making up all this BS. And basically he did call them hypocrites actually. So that was the only guy we didn't get a chance to talk about as far as Billy Ho, but I can't wait for this weekend. I'm glad he mentioned it as far as starting tonight. If anyone's a procrastinator on locking these bets in, I think these lock in like about 8 hours, about close to midnight tonight. So if you're if you hammer these in 5 a.m. first thing on Thursday morning when you go to work, it's not going to work this week.
Some day baseball today. Currently in the bottom of the eighth, Cubs in Milwaukee 1-1. An upset in Detroit as Pineda shuts down Bieber 8-2. Tigers plus 145 get it home. Bottom of the seventh, shootout in your town, neck of the woods. Minnesota now with a 6-5 lead. Ryan and Lynn were the starters. And bottom of the fifth, Toronto and Oakland, Berrios and Caprillion zeros. I just want to bring this up before we go into tonight's board.
Yeah.
I'm not calling the Oakland A's pesky, but this Caprillion kid, all of a sudden, his last three starts now, he used to be a punching bag. Now he's spinning donuts.
Yeah, kind of, I remember seeing some flashes of it last year to where, kind of the middle of the season, he had this kind of surgence into being a guy that you could find some value on, and then he kind of faded away towards the end of the season and into this season, what you kind of talked about as being a punching bag. So I think it might be a guy to look out for as far as a little bit of a hot streak. I remember I'm drawing a blank on exactly what it was, but this was one this morning where it at least made me look twice at the line as far as Oakland not being Toronto not being minus 250 or something like that. Like we typically see with this A's team against a winning team. So 0-0 in the bottom of the fifth. It's at least something to keep note of next time around.
And I can just tell gambling Twitter today, all in on the two New York teams, both coming off losses. Of course, the Yankees are not going to lose two in a row to Pittsburgh. We know that, of course. And the trend from SoCal DGen, where the Mets are like 20-0 against the run line coming off a loss. Are you buying either one of them?
Am I buying 100%? I'm staying away from both of them if I'm being honest. Because the Pirates, Yankees and Pirates. First of all, we've talked about how pesky this Pirates team is. You're right. I would be hard pressed to see this Yankees team to not only lose back to the Pirates, but I believe they lost their most recent game before that. So they're on 2 straight losses right now. I'd find it hard pressed to believe that they lose 3 in a row, but I think it's the price in their case against a team that we've dubbed as just being better than what their perception is now at this point. So with the tax on the Yankees, no, and that Mets and Reds, I don't know. I'm still staying away. Again, I'm happy to buy into a 20-0 trend, but minus 170 or around right over there against this Reds team is kind of smells a little bit to me. So I'm going to be staying away at least for now.
And I was asked a few questions in between shows and conference calls today, and I'll just say the statement that I always say, people, if you didn't invite me to the wedding, don't expect me there at the funeral either. And I haven't been a big part of the Yankee train. And I'm not a big trend guy, and I'm not we're not types of people here at ECSI that believe in the logo and the names on the back. So I too will be staying away from both of those games today. But you got a handful of games here, so I'm going to turn the slate over to you and see what you see today.
Alrighty, my friend. Yeah, let's start. We can start with the Angels and Marlins in this one. Ohtani versus Trevor Rogers. First of all, the line on this one's about minus 165 for the Angels. Angels actually 4 straight losses. Marlins coming in with 6 straight wins. But obviously the respect is going to Ohtani, who's been the last 4 times out has just been, as about as good as anybody in the entire league. The last 3 no runs allowed, last 2 double-digit strikeouts for Ohtani. And then, but on the flip side of this one, Trevor Rogers has not been very good. At some point, I expect some positive regression from Trevor Rogers, which 5 innings, 2 hits, only 1 run last time out, as the White Sox tie it right in front of my eyes. So a smile comes to my face as I'm saying that. But I'm not sure which way to. As good as Ohtani's been, I'm kind of Trevor Rogers was one of my most bet pitchers last year, I would say, and I'm kind of holding out hope that he can get back into that realm again. And so, not saying I'm betting on Trevor Rogers against Ohtani here today, but that flat 7's got me thinking it's going to be of a total. I'm saying it has me thinking it's going to be a 3-2 showing, so one way or another in this one. So. I don't know. I'm not. I don't have enough faith in this Marlins team, despite the 6 straight wins. I haven't been on that train over the last week or so. So I'm gonna stay away from it. But I think we could see a really nice pitchers duel in that one. What about you?
It's funny. We've kind of changed gears here over the weekend and early last week and into yesterday. We went 2-1 and we profited 1.20 units. Digging into some overs and some team totals. We're taking the team totals on the plus money, even though like the Braves, Scotty Webb was talking at length yesterday. They looked like the side, and they got their team total, I think, in the first or second inning. I'm not going to lay the minus 140s and the 150s, but on our side, we take like the plus 120 on the Phillies yesterday that come in. We had the over on the Tigers game that came in. Both games cashed in the 5th inning. Our only loss was the Giants team total over. They were stuck on 2, and I don't want to say dead to us, but they've killed us more ways than not this year. So it's funny that you started with the Angels. You can get their team total over 4.5 plus money today. The hard part about that is the under over is 7. Yeah. So, if you believe in Ohtani today, it's a minus 160. You can get them on the run line right around even or plus money there. So it's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Angels 4 losses in a row, as you said. The Marlins 6 in a row, and I feel for all the Marlins that anyone got cute yesterday and did the run line. There's the Angels scratched 1 across in the 9th for the 2-1 final there.
Yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna, hold some stock in the future for Trevor Rogers and hope we get a nice pitchers duel out of this one as as an entertainment standpoint for me in this one. Next one, we already talked about it a little bit. Any other thoughts that you wanted to add on to that Yankees and Pittsburgh one? Is it just, too much of a tax if you're buying the Yankees, or maybe you're even interested in the Pirates in this one?
Again, Yankees team total 5 and a hook. You can get that over at right around even money, an under over of 8.5. Keller has not been stellar. Severino's been okay. I look at this game as a focal point of the public and the D-Gens again. Looking at both New York teams, I guarantee you the favorite parlay tonight is Mets and Yankees run line money lines just to win. I'm going to stay far, far away. I'm actually rooting for the Pirates. Our buddy Dave Sharapan and Brad Howe are doing the game for a betting show tonight. So I'm rooting for the Pirates, but I will have no interest, or should say any shillings on this game.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. Moving on to, let's see, St. Louis and Atlanta. Mikolas versus Max Fried in this one. Let me find my odds on this one. Let's see, Braves about minus 175 in this one. Let's see, total about 9 in here. Atlanta Braves have won 8 straight starts, or 8 of Max Fried's straight starts that he's started in outright. He's obviously 8-2 on the season, so they've been very, very good in this spot. But Mikolas has been, kind of sneaky good himself, about 2.65 ERA. I'm not, this Cardinals team has not been playing very good ball lately. Obviously, this Braves team is playing very good ball. Is there a way to jump into this one? This one seems like it's a little too close to go Braves run line, or even maybe first five minus the hook. Maybe they're interested in that, but I think this is one, the price is a little further than I'd like to get into for the Braves, if I'm interested in the Braves here.
Early in the season, the Cards were an autoplay versus a lefty. They were smashing the ball. Fried has been lights out, not Alcantara lights out,
Right.
but pretty damn close. Braves hitting on all cylinders. Now just 2 games behind the Mets in the loss column. I look at the Cardinals. I was on Mikolas's last start, man. He was leaking oil. He gave us the L there. I'm trying to find a way to get into this game. I mean, I know the obvious is to take Atlanta minus the hook first 5 or full game. I've backed off of that because we've been burned so many times.
Yeah.
I'm even trying to see if I could sneak it maybe to a St. Louis team total over. But to me, I would honestly have to say it's Braves or nothing here, and I can't find a way to get in here.
Right, and that under of 9 seems so way too damn good to be true. As far as if you're, thinking it's going to be a pitcher's duel, that number screams that that one of these guys is going to get beat up a little more than you would expect. So I'm with you on this one. Next one up, I do believe it is. We are finally back to Fenway Park there behind you. Major League debut, is it, I don't know the pronunciation of Bello versus Corey Kluber, but Bello making his Major League debut. Any insights that you can help us out with on this one?
Kid's been lights out. He's been waiting a lifetime for this. I watched the game yesterday, and something was puzzling. The Sox started out down 3-0. Pivetta settles down. Sox take a 3-0 down 3-0, tie it 3-3. Anyone that had the Sox first 5 has to be pulling their head out. Sox get second and third, no outs, and they failed to score. And then in the top of the 6th, the floodgates open, and here comes Tampa that I think put up a 4 spot, and they were just running the bases like no tomorrow. Rain DeRosa there, scoring from second on an infield hit, and the floodgates opened. Kluber, hit or miss of late. I would expect some nerves. The number is trying to entice you to take the Sox. If I was to get in here, I lean Rays here tonight.
Okay. Yeah, it was an interesting. I was interested to see the Red Sox just no issue being favored in this one with the guy on his Major League debut. So, I was interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Kansas City and Houston. Houston's offense is got a fire lit behind them the last I don't know how many days. Keller versus Javier. Javier has been fantastic. One of the more underrated seasons by a pitcher this year. But a big fat number here, and the run line, the first 5 minus the hook, pretty tough to get into this one. Do you trust, with this Astros offense with the, given this tax, or, is it too much to jump into this one for you?
Well, I saw someone put this up yesterday. Anyone watching and listening with a notepad, a couple things here. We've been on the Astros team total. We had them first day of the week. We did not have them yesterday. They're just long and longer. Anyone wants to jump in on a few future props, you can get some great prices on Alvarez, MVP to pass Judge. And I think he's 5 homers behind Judge. I think Judge is at 29 and he's at 24. You can grab him plus 700 right now to take over and win the home run title as well. I'm all in on this Astros team, meaning I think they come out of the AL. I think that they're good chance to be the World Series champs this year. If you don't have any action on them, maybe you want to look into the market and see if you can get some prices on American League champs and World Series. Again, price is way too high to get in first 5, full game, even run line. If you're looking for some action on them, just dabble on the team total. They just listen. We had them Monday. They were down 5-0, and we had a team total of over 5.5, and they get to 7. Yesterday, again, they just take care of business. Their offense, I'll put them up against anyone for the best offense in the game right now.
I'm 100% with you. As even if, like I've said, even if my White Sox could figure out and become the contender that people might think they would be, at the beginning of the season, this Astros team is the scariest team to me by far. And you have to imagine that they're going to add and be potentially fairly aggressive at the trade deadline and add somebody to really put themselves over the edge, whether it's the starting pitching or the back end of their bullpen. So I'm with you on this one. A couple more that I had written down to talk about. Interesting line on this one. A team that's kind of free falling right now. Giants at the Diamondbacks. Alex Cobb for the Giants. Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks. I'm sorry, they are not favored in this one. They were pretty decent sized dogs the first two games. It's plus 110 for the Diamondbacks this time around. Giants about minus 130. Money seems to be tilted to the Giants just a little bit on the consensus that I see here in this one. I think it's 6 straight, if I'm not mistaken, for the Giants losses in this one. Are you staying out of the train, or do you like anything on this one?
They were our only loss yesterday with the team total over 5.5. I will not be touching the Giants with your money. If you Venmoed me 100 to put on them tonight, I'd Venmo you 200 back and tell you to go out to dinner. With that said, guys, if you want some pizza and beer money in action, take the Giants team total over, because I had them yesterday and they scored 2, so I'm not touching them today. They'll probably put up a touchdown in the first 2 innings.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I got a good look of them against my White Sox over the weekend. They've got some issues right now, and I'm with you as far as that would be where I'd go. But it's a rough look right now. Another big number: Rockies and Dodgers. Jose Urena and Mitch White in this one. Another one where 2 steep attacks. Or you like any team totals out of this one?
The Dodgers 51-29. They now have 1 more win than the Mets, and they're only 7 games behind the Yankees there. So it's kind of comical where you get to 22 games over 500, yet you're 7 behind the Yankees over there. The Dodgers, again, just long and longer, and they're just finding ways to win. Way too high to get in there. Kind of surprised that the under over a 9 maybe makes you think that, the Dodgers are going to put up at least a touchdown today. White's been serviceable. They got a couple injuries in the back end there. I'm sorry, with Bueller and a few other pitchers that are, Kershaw battling here and there. I'm more intrigued in the over 9. And if I say it that way, I take a look at the Dodger team total over. I think that there's going to be some runs scored there. But that 9 is one of the higher numbers on the board today. And I know it's more because of Urena. I don't know what they're going to get out of him, 3 or 4, if that. So if the Dodgers show up, I look for an early performance from the Dodgers today.
Okay, I'm seeing 9.5 in some certain spots as well, as far as the total in that one. But I think consensus is still 9. I had that was one of my spots. Still waiting on the lineup. That's obviously the latest one on the slate. I had that one penciled in as monitoring Freddie Freeman for a player prop on this one. He's got some actually some really good success against Jose Urena. So I'm kind of monitoring their lineup once it does come out. So I'm not sure where I would go for that one, but at least something I was trying to monitor on that one. I think I skipped a couple of the games if you had any interest in chatting about them. Washington and Philly was one that I skipped over, and then Texas and Baltimore. Anything to mention out of those 2 games?
Again, the Texas and Baltimore, I know they're 2 of the lower teams in the league, but they're putting on quite a show back and forth. We talk about the Baltimore and the pesky Orioles, and Texas has got one of those quiet offenses that just keeps on plugging. And under over that opened at 9, that is now 9.5. Back and forth on who's favored here. I'm not big fans of either. I don't know if both teams can keep up the offensive performances, but I know both back ends are taxed. So I assume that you would just follow that and, maybe take a look at a Texas team total over, maybe even look again, Baltimore team total over. They were struggling a week ago offensively. Texas has been the right recipe to get back on track. So, would they go 9-8 yesterday or something like that? So expecting the same thing back and forth with those 2 teams tonight.
Okay. Yeah, 9-10 on it yesterday. I was looking on certain spot. It's Rangers minus 112 on the full game, minus 120 on the first 5. And I know a lot of people were thinking Watkins is, maybe an edge for Watkins. So that's an interesting split on that one. At least people.
Good eyes.
So at least something to mention.
No, that's
there.
good eyes there. good eyes. They're favoring Otto over Watkins first five. So anyone wanting to get in there, Vegas is making a stance saying Texas first five is their lean.
It just drives me nuts because the expectations of my team and those two teams, and the White Sox have 38 wins, the Orioles have 38 wins, and the Rangers have 37 wins, and the perceptions of all these three teams is all over the damn place. It drives me so damn nuts.
Well, we've said this now for the last 6 weeks. I'll just add on. You got 2 weeks till the All-Star break. I think it would be in your best interest. We know it's not going to happen with his connection with was it Drysdorf or however you say his name.
Reinsdorf, yeah.
He's not going to fire him. He's fired him once, but you need a shakeup in that clubhouse immediately.
It wouldn't shock. You're right. It's not going to happen. It wouldn't shock me if they did some, hitting coach changes because, our batting averages, which obviously, if 20 years ago we were talking about this, we might be talking about this as a good hitting team, but, our batting average is, pretty high up there, but we're bottom 5 in home runs or something along those lines. And so when you're looking at it like that and teams are coming into your hitter friendly ballpark and out homering you, 3-1 on a daily basis, it's, I think the hitting coach is going to be, probably be put as a scapegoat if things continue here the next week or two before the All-Star break, and it's probably not going to change much after that. Our defense is an atrocity if you've been watching any games basically, but today's been a microcosm of that a little bit. So I've said my 2 cents on my frustrations here on my team, so I'm happy to move on.
Well, nothing is worse. I've never seen worse base running in my life than the Tampa Bay Rays, and they make light of it because they said they are the worst. I saw 2 bleeders, infield pop-ups that they got doubled up on, thinking that they were going to fall into the outfield. And one Story caught at second base, 2 feet under the outfield grass. It was just mind-boggling, the stupidity. And you got those, you're about to set up, first and second and third, and then it's an immediate double play, and it's a thanks for playing. And, I think, the fundamentals of baseball or any sport. I talk about the fundamentals in NBA free throw shooting. Why practice free throw shooting when that's not going to get you on ESPN or the top 10 plays of the day? It's the dunks, and it's the home runs that go 450 feet. It's not the great, great third strike call. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, you want to talk about bad base running? We on Monday night we're entering the biggest 3-week stretch of the White Sox season against 8 games against the Twins, 8 against the Guardians, and a few against the Tigers, and we got tie the game in the 7th. Yohan Moncada's biggest hit of his season, and then follows that up with a triple play on the bases, including his own horrible base running, and one of our role players who's supposed to be a good base runner gets. I'd put our lack of fundamentals up against anybody. I don't care what you say right now. It's driving me nuts, Jeff. I can't take it anymore.
So that's the slate in a nutshell. There's some decent spots. Again, we're less than 2 weeks away from the All-Star break. The home run hitting contest will be in 2 Mondays from now. The game will be on Tuesday. Wednesday will be dark. Thursday, I think there's 3 or 4 games, and then Friday we'll start up with the full slate. So, guys, you want to manage your bankroll accordingly. You don't need to be pressing because we're going to have a dark day in a couple Wednesdays, and we'll find something. We'll be talking about football over-unders or future props or something to get you through. How's that sound?
Oh, I love a good, second half look ahead for some futures in the MLB on that day of the year. That's one of my favorite moves on that day.
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., B2B Rob from Beating the Bull join us. We'll be talking some PGAs. He'll go over the first round of the Scottish Open. He's great in taking second, third, and fourth round looks as well. So we'll pick his brain on that one. Maybe have a few NFL futures for us. Riley will be back at 4:30 for the closing bell there. Friday, we scheduled on 2:30 Dan Alexander from the Premier Lacrosse League. It is a dark week for them as they get ready for the All-Star break, but we'll be going over the first half, some MVP looks and some future look aheads to the upcoming second half season there. And then the weekend, we'll figure out either Riley or Scott back on for the breakfast bankroll to get everyone set up for the weekend. So with that said, anyone wagering this afternoon, this evening, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun, cash a few tickets, and come catch us tomorrow morning. We'll see you soon.